Welcome into the CHGO Blackhawks Podcast. Happy Tuesday. I'm Jay Zawaski with Greg Boysen and Mario Tirabassi. See a bunch of people with us already on YouTube. We appreciate you being here right at the start of the show. You're going to miss important stuff if you miss the beginning, that's for sure. Smash that like button for us. Make sure you are subscribed to our YouTube page. Follow, subscribe, all that great stuff on your preferred podcast app. And take 30 seconds to leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Those things are very, very helpful. We've got a ton of Mailbag Monday leftovers to get to today. We're going to do that for sure. But we've got to start with the big news of the day. Samuel Savoie has signed his entry-level deal. He is officially a Blackhawk. And this, to me, is the best day of the summer. Better than the Bedard draft day.
Really?
There, I said it.
Better than Bedard draft
No,
day.
that's not true.
It smells like meatballs in here.
Is that what that is?
No, it's just my.
I thought it was just the scent I
just
let
us.
off as I
It's just
sweat.
us in this office. Yeah, I mean, we earlier in the spring when there was a stretch of ELCs handed out, Antti Sorella got one, Paul Ludwinski got one. I think Gavin Hayes got one as well. We all expected, they're just signing all these guys that they want to have in the organization and be able to, just make sure that they're got their contract signed and don't have to worry about anything in the next, over the next year or so. We all assumed Savoie was going to be part of that group. And then it just kind of delayed on and it eventually got done, obviously. But it just wasn't in that group in the spring. So, and two, I don't think this was ever going to be something that wasn't going to happen. I think the Blackhawks really like him. I think he's a player that they need in their prospect system, a guy of his quality of play, both on the ice and, as an opponent, to be able to get under the skin, get in another guy's head. We talk about it a lot with Savoie, is that it's not something you could teach a player to be. It's kind of part of who you are. That's your DNA as a hockey player, and he has it. So, yeah, it's great. I'm happy for him. Believe he's gonna go. He'll have to go back to Gatineau, if not make the Blackhawks roster, which I don't foresee happening. But he'll go back to Gatineau. He'll have a top 6 opportunity with them. Was a big piece of their team last year. Went to the Quebec Junior League final, I believe. So yeah, I mean, he's going to have a good role on a good team.
Yeah, that contract will probably slide a year. He's not 20 till March, so he has to be, just like we've been talking about Kevin Korchinski, It's NHL or back to juniors. I don't think Samuel is ready to compete for an AHL job just yet. No. I mean, he's probably still 2 years minimum away before we start penciling him in any kind of lineup. But it's nice to give him his contract. Some people have asked on Twitter, well, then why did you do it this year if he's not? So what? Just get it done. Reward the kid. He had a really good year, a lot of progression from draft year to draft year +1. Get him signed up, give him a little motivation going into the juniors, let him know that, hey, you're part of our future.
Yeah, we believe in you.
Exactly.
Yep.
That goes a long way for a kid like that. And, he can get back to the queue and start thinking about what can I do here that's going to help me when I turn pro at the end of the season. So maybe he's a guy that at the end of the year when his junior season ends, depending on the timing, you see maybe in Rockford for a postseason run, or maybe you give him his NHL debut, or the last regular season game of the year, or something like that. And then that contract slides 1 year, and it doesn't really kick in till next season, where he will probably play in Rockford.
Yeah, he'll be old enough.
He's going to be loved, adored in Rockford.
Yes.
He's got that AHL ruggedness and spirit already. Yeah, he's going to be. There's going to be Savoie jerseys all over in Rockford next year. I don't have any doubts about that.
Our pal Hockey Night on Twitter said, finally someone to replace Andrew Shaw and the crucial taking a penalty during the power play role. Well, hopefully he gets that out of him a little bit. I mean, look, it's always good to have guys that play on the edge. And when you have guys that play on the edge, they're going to go over the edge every now and again, and it's something you live with because the positives outweigh the negatives big time. I think you would say the same about the majority of Andrew Shaw's time in Chicago, that, yeah, there were times you wanted to strangle him because of the dumbass things he did, but more often than not, those things were effective and positives for the Blackhawks and for him, and negatives for the opponent.
And no slight on Samuel Savoie, but I hope the Blackhawks roster is talented enough that he's not playing on the power play.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't foresee that. Even just looking ahead of
The Andrew Shaw on the power play was kind of at times too. I mean, he did serve a purpose. You stand in front of net, let the puck hit you, it goes in the net. Sure. But a lot of those times there were better options.
Oh, sure. Shaw was good at the shoveling garbage thing, though. You know, the rebounds in front he could corral and score with.
But if all things go well, there won't be any need for him to even play on the power play.
Yeah, you wouldn't think so.
Right, yeah.
Not regularly, at least.
Right, I agree with that. Bex is calling you out that you did not get the shirt memo, Greg.
I did not. You guys are jerks. You didn't tell me. Well, no, actually, thank you, because I don't have this in T-shirt. I have this in sweatshirt form.
Well, guess what, Greg?
And I'm not wearing the sweatshirt today.
It's a great week for you to get this shirt, because this shirt and our legendary 81 design are 50% off this week through Sunday at the CHGO Locker, as well as the
geniuses.
See that the Brawler Cubby design, the Southside Baseball Club, the King in the Fourth design, the Brick by Brick design, both Blue Skies shirts. So go to chgolocker.com for 50% off this week. And yeah, if you're a diehard, your code still works. You'll still save. So jump on there, chgolocker.com. The two Hawks designs are the ones that Mario and I are wearing, the CHGO Hockey and the legendary 81 number retirement. We can't say his name officially on the show, but you know who we're talking about. We have his DNA in a water bottle. We're having him cloned as we speak. True. What you can't see over there is very much like in Star Wars. There is a tank with a little baby 81 growing in it. And every day we come in, it gets a little bit bigger, and in 10 to 15 years, we'll have a new number 81 for you. Thank you for leaving your water bottle behind.
Yeah.
Sucker. We do have to coordinate, because I think Thursday, as we're broadcasting from the National Sports Collectors Convention, is that the official?
Yep.
Over in Rosemont, all of us are broadcasting, so we're going to be rocking our CHGO merch. We should coordinate which shirts we're going to wear that day, so we're all not wearing the same.
I'm wearing my Skyline shirt, my CHGO bean.
Okay. I will wear the. I got the red CHGO script.
All right. That leaves a lot of options for me.
All right, yeah.
I'll either wear the legendary 81 shirt since it's on sale, or maybe our captain shirt.
That's a good one.
Since our rookie shirts haven't shown up yet.
They will be here soon. I'm certain of it.
They are in the mail.
When will then be now?
What social media tells me. So
right.
Awesome. All right, why don't we tear open the mailbag now that we've gotten to our Samuel Savoie has signed segment. I know we've got a lot left over, so Sarah, why don't you kick things off for us?
Plenty of leftovers.
Gladly. Our first question is from Eric B. Wondering if you guys would be interested in projecting the 24-25, or hell, even the 25-26 Hawks line/roster.
No.
Of course, we have no idea what will really happen, but could be a fun way to think about potential prospects' development and team elevation.
Tune in August. That sounds like a nice August full show idea.
Yeah.
I'm going to predict that 25-26 roster. Let's get weird. Let's get
really weird.
Let's have like an all-German line. We draft another German kid this year.
Sure.
And we throw him out there with Leon Draisaitl and Lucas Reichel.
Sounds good to me.
Roast.
All right.
I really think, though, that Kyle Davidson, as much as we've heralded this free agency class of this summer, I really think he's eyeing the summer of 2025. And that class is actually better if all those guys actually hit free agency.
That's the caveat.
Everyone's looking at Matthews at the top of this one.
But I don't think he even gets there.
Let's put a percentage on Matthews reaching free agency. 10?
10%.
15?
Less than 15.
Yeah, Toronto can't just let Austin Matthews walk. Even if they try to trade him at the deadline or whatever, they're not. They're going to still be in contention.
Well, his no trade clause kicked in at the beginning of the month.
Yeah, but if he wants out, he'll waive it. I mean,
but why would he?
Maybe he wants out.
I don't know.
I mean, maybe he's unhappy with being the scapegoat for all their
But
failures.
if he's very unhappy, then what better way to get revenge is to stay there and then leave for nothing?
Yeah,
That's true.
because
then they get nothing.
Because they're likely going to be in the playoffs.
You would think.
And he'd probably stick around for that, try and put one more playoff run on his resume. And then, if he was really unhappy, just walk in free agency. You get nothing. You'll
get nothing and like it.
Yeah. So
I think they're going to target 2025.
Yeah.
And if those guys, all those names that are there, I think it's a better class.
there's a lot of good ones.
And I really think Leon Draisaitl is not going to re-sign in Edmonton.
And that gives you 2 seasons, this upcoming one and 24-25, to see Bedard as an NHL player, see Reichel as a full-time NHL player. We're likely going to see Kevin Korchinski become a full-time NHL player at that point.
2 more years of these last couple of draft classes.
You see two professional seasons of Drew Comezzo, Nolan Allen, Colton Dock, Ethan Del Mastro. In 2 years, we might be talking about a bunch of guys that are 20, 21, 22 years old. Bedard will be 20, barely. And you might just be like, the new group is exactly what we want them to be. They're all here. Now let's go and get the guy that is going to play the Hossa role that he did in the summer of 09.
Very similar.
And Draisaitl would do that.
Yeah, and he would be able to, he'd be in another situation much like Edmonton, but with hopefully a much deeper, better team. He'd have that superstar guy named Connor to play with. But, so what we're seeing with Kyle Davidson, there's 2 things that general managers do. They either build a team or fill out a roster. And it really seems like Kyle Davidson is building a team.
Yep.
He's building guys that he is already picturing. Like, while we can't sit here and predict what the lines are going to be for the 25-26, I bet you Kyle Davidson has a pretty good idea. Because he's drafting these guys to say, okay, this guy would play well with these guys, and these guys collectively would be a great top 6.
Yeah.
And he's getting he's getting the leadership qualities. He's building a team. He's not just filling out a roster.
Yeah.
Too many NHL GMs just fill out their roster. I need a left winger. I'm going to just draft a left winger.
Yeah.
Or I'm going to sign one.
I need a gritty, grindy guy. Let me just grab one who I don't care if he mixes well with line mates or anything like that.
Overpay for Michael Bunting on the free agent.
Sure, yeah.
There's a difference between the two, and we're seeing Kyle Davidson build a team.
Yep.
So it's too early to really see how it's going to turn out, but I mean, it's looking pretty darn good so far.
Chris says if Edmonton continues to make playoff runs, I don't see why Draisaitl wouldn't stay. I don't know if they're going to be able to pay 2 guys max contracts.
Because after Draisaitl is a free agent, McDavid only has, 1 or 2 years left on his current deal?
Yeah.
So...
And if they keep coming up short, too.
Right.
He's taken his fair share of heat in Edmonton for not... even
though McDavid is McDavid will become a free agent after the 25-26 season, whereas Draisaitl is after the 2024-25 season.
So in back-to-back years, they're free agents.
You're not going to be able to pay
You can't keep both of them unless the salary cap goes up by $20 million.
And McDavid currently makes 12.5, and he's certainly getting a raise.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't think Leon Draisaitl, if it's another 2 seasons of Edmonton losing in the conference finals, losing in the second round, he's got a chance to come here where the Hawks can pay him more than Edmonton can.
And at that point, they're going to have some flexibility with cap room.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the players that they're hoping make those steps
Are all on
will either have 1 more year of their entry-level deal done or will be owed a extension after that season.
Right.
So
you could probably pay him more. You could pay him more than Edmonton can, because you can't pay both Draisaitl and.
You got to be cautious though, because if you're going to give him $13 million, I think it's safe to assume that Conor Bedard's next contract is going to be huge too. So you're going to be right in a situation Edmonton was with 2 guys making huge money, and then what do you do with the rest of the roster?
That's why that third tier of Mario's pyramid is so important.
Right.
You just keep putting guys that are playing on
which is the fattest
deals.
tier.
Yeah. Which is why it's our favorite.
That's the hope. But that's why yesterday I talked about, I obviously Austin Matthews or Leon Draisaitl is the dream, but are you better off going with like a tier below, like a Sebastian Aho type of player that's not going to command top money, but it's going to be a really nice compliment to Bedard and Reichel and the people that are here without commanding that massive
Yeah.
contract.
Give me Mikko Rantanen.
Sure, okay.
Twist
my arm. Yeah.
Settle for Mikko Rantanen.
Well, that's the conversation we had a while back. Would you rather have one 60-goal scorer on your team or two 30-goal scorers?
Right.
I'd as much as the 60-goal scorer would be amazing and fantastic, having two options that can put up 30 goals is, I think, a little bit better.
Depth wins. That's what wins. And Chris adds, I could see Edmonton going the Pittsburgh/old Hawks route and locking up their two guys. Remember, the Hawks won nothing after those Kane and Taves contracts kicked in. They won nothing after that. Yeah. So for the length of those contracts, the Hawks had no Stanley Cups, no deep playoff runs. Would they win one playoff series?
0.
If you count the bubble?
If you count the bubble.
So that's it. 0 playoff series if you don't count the bubble.
I don't.
So,
count
I mean, it puts you in a bad spot.
But, I mean, they also still had the capability to give out this Brent Seabrook contract, which, in hindsight, bad idea.
Sure.
So, you know,
let's let it play out, though.
If you want to do,
it's not over yet.
If you want to go through revisionist history, you can go back and say, how could that money have been allocated differently to maybe extend a contention window a little bit better?
Well, Pittsburgh's the other example, right? And while they didn't make the playoffs last year, they have remained competitive with Sidney Crosby and Evgeny Malkin and Chris Letang. And if they're able to somehow add Erik Karlsson to the mix, they're a playoff team.
Yeah, they're still losing in the first round, and they're right back.
Well, I was listening to Daily Faceoff yesterday, and maybe this is something we get into on our league-wide show tomorrow. They were talking about the East and said, okay, you know, maybe Pittsburgh gets Karlsson, but which Eastern Conference team is falling out of the playoffs that made it last year? And, of course, every year is different, right? And there's teams that sneak up.
Islanders?
There's teams that are not as good as expected. But
the Islanders are the team that comes to mind.
Yeah.
Islanders, yes. That's kind of the consensus would be the
Probably
one.
not Boston, but
maybe Boston.
If Boston finishes with 15 fewer wins, they still have 100 points.
Yeah.
Well, no Patrice Bergeron. We know that officially.
But still, they're still a talented team.
Yeah, but
no Bertuzzi.
I mean, we're going from the historically best team in hockey to out of the playoffs. I don't see that. You could talk to me about Tampa. I can see Tampa potentially. They only made it by like 6 points.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Tampa is that team that's like, we don't need to bust our ass to get here. Once we get here, we're fine.
Yeah. And if they're in a wild card chase, I would bet on them to get out of it.
Yeah, and they will trade 3 draft classes to get another fourth line left winger
for Philip Kurashev.
Yeah.
Phone lines are open, Tampa. All right, let's something we can visit tomorrow though.
Yes.
Let's answer that question for the Western Conference tomorrow. Which Western Conference playoff team is ready to fall out?
Okay.
All right, let's go to Dan next.
All right. Dan H. says, this has bugged me for a couple weeks. You guys talk about not rushing the prospects and not letting them get overwhelmed, but never apply any of that to Bedard. He's still an 18-year-old kid, but he has to be thrown in the fire. But does he have to be thrown into the fire?
Well, so Dan...
What does Bedard playing in Regina next year do?
Yeah,
that's the thing, Dan.
He can't play in the AHL.
Yes, there's no AHL option for Bedard based on the age restrictions. So it's either Chicago or Regina. Again, and there's no point in him going to score 300 points for the Regina Pats.
300 points, plays, breaks his own World Juniors record. There's nothing more that he needs to prove, accomplish, or can develop at the juniors level.
And he's 18, but he's NHL ready.
And when you're talking when generational talents, look, like time to develop. When you're talking about guys like Reichel, or what they should have done with Kirby Dach. And Adam Boquist and on and on and on. None of those guys, even when the moment they drafted Kirby Dach, never in their mind did they think generational talent. Absolutely not. Connor Bedard is a totally different animal. When we talk about the hype, a notch below Connor McDavid, a notch above Austin Matthews, that's NHL ready. There's nothing more for him to prove at the junior level. I don't see. Look, maybe he doesn't put up 120 points this year, but what we talked about earlier, 70-ish
75
points
yeah,
would be a pretty realistic expectation, maybe even short selling him a little bit. He's going to be fine. He's handled everything that's been thrown at him, and anytime those people have been like, well, this will be the true test for Connor Bedard, he blows it the F out of the water.
Yeah.
Go look up what he did at the World Juniors this year. Right. Against the world's best competition, he was skating circles around everybody.
Yep. When was the last number 1 overall pick that didn't play NHL games the year after they were drafted? Because I know Safkovsky played.
Power?
Yeah, you're right. Owen Power. He went back. But hey, look, that panned out well for Buffalo because he got an extra year in Michigan, joined the Sabres at a time where they were ready to kind of swing back on the upward trajectory. And he jumped right in, and his contributions to their defensive group right away make them a team that's like, hey, we talk about who could fall out of the East. Buffalo's a team that I think is going to take that spot of whatever team could potentially fall out from last year. I think Buffalo is primed to step up and be a playoff team this year. And
so yeah, I think that's the only one
in a long time.
As I look back, even going back to like Rick DiPietro started in the NHL, right?
As a goalie? Did he?
Maybe he was like the last one to do a little bit of minors before he came up.
Even Fleury played as a 18-year-old, right?
Right. So yeah. DiPietro in 2000, Kovalchuk, Nash, Fleury, Ovechkin, Crosby, Johnson, Kane, Stamkos, Tavares, Hall, Nugent Hopkins, Yakupov, McKinnon, Ekblad, McDavid, Matthews, Hischier, Dahlin, Hughes, Lafreniere, Power, Slavkovsky, Bedard. I think Power's the only one who didn't jump right in.
Yeah. And this isn't a Shane Wright situation where like was dominant in juniors but wasn't quite ready for the NHL, as we saw. Conor Bedard, you watch him play. Yeah, he's playing against other teenagers. There's no doubt he can take the NHL right now and be very good in the NHL. So that's why every player, and Kyle Davidson has said this, every player is on their own development path.
Yeah.
There's not a set rule that every player has to have one season with the Ice Hogs before coming to the they're not going to be Lucas Reichel and held back a year, essentially, because you were trying to get Conor Bedard. When you're ready for the NHL, you're going to play. Conor Bedard is ready for the NHL.
Well, and just remember, too, like, Patrick Kane came right into the league as a small guy, right out of junior. Tell me, like, count how many fingers does it take to count how many times he was hit hard during his career?
The one time,
one hand,
one seriously, maybe a handful of times did he take a hard hit.
The time he broke his collarbone. Matthew Dumba got him good once. None other really come to mind.
That's it. Like he's an elusive player, and it's just kind of a very similar. Like you don't see guys like Conor Bedard or Austin Matthews or Connor McDavid getting laid out very often.
No,
they're just too. They can see the ice too well. They move too well. And the other thing is, and I'll never forget this as a kid, I was at a Hawks-Penguins game. I had really great seats. My buddy's brother brought us. We were maybe 5th or 6th row. We got to watch, like, from the blue line. We were maybe a couple rows off the ice. And the Penguins were on a power play. And Mario Lemieux just had the puck on the glass, and he was just looking around. And everyone's like, hit him! Someone hit him! And as soon as the Hawk came towards him, boop, pass right out in the middle. And the rest of the game, he got all the space he wanted. Because everybody knew that as soon as you go to Mario Lemieux, he's going to find a teammate with the puck, and it's going to be in the back of your net. And Bedard is going to get that kind of respect from people. Well, you'll see people, instead of trying to run him, they're going to be backing off, just holding on for dear life against him.
Right.
Think about those games in a bubble. Every time Connor McDavid stepped foot on the ice, it was terrifying.
Yeah.
Every time. And it's just like it just felt like a matter of time until he scored.
Yeah, and with Bedard, the skill set is, what tool can he use to beat you? Is it going to be his shot? Is it going to be his skating ability? Is it going to be his ability to set up teammates? Like he has so many different tools to use that once he gets them into the NHL and once he gets up to that speed, I think there's going to be it's going to be really hard to like you said, Jay, kind of like for teams to get really aggressive against him because he's one of those guys that will learn how to use that against you and be able to utilize teammates in that kind of way. So yeah, I just think even look at how development camp was. Every other prospect knew, but without having to like say it, everyone knows he's at a different level than everyone else that was at development camp. And that's why I think there was a concerted effort from both Bedard and the Blackhawks to kind of make sure that, hey, like, let's all be on equal footing here so that we don't set up this prospect hierarchy within the organization where everyone just defers to, well, Bedard's going to do something, so I'll fall in behind him. It's we're all here at the same level right now, and we all look to him to be like, well, I want to work as hard as he is, so I can be thought of at the same level as him.
Yeah, absolutely. And don't underestimate too the addition of Taylor Hall, which I think is going to be just massive.
Yeah,
just massive for him. Not taking the pressure off him to put the puck in the net too, but just the leadership thing, the getting some attention on that line. You can't leave Taylor Hall alone, or he's going to let you up too. So I think they're handling this very, very well. And Conor Bedard more than anybody. If you watch any of our shows from development camp week, every time the kid speaks, you feel more and more confident that he's going to be the guy. And look, if Rockford was an option, which it's not, if he has 10 games in and he just looks completely lost, they could send him down. He's not going back to the Western Hockey League.
No.
There is no point. I don't think that's going to happen anyway, but no, it is not don't worry about it.
No.
And look, they're not trying to win this year either. So if there's some growing pains with him, good. Get him out of the way now.
Yep.
So in 2-3 years when you're ready to contend, he's got all the bugs worked out and he's at full speed.
Speaking of bugs, I'd love to be a fly on the wall the day Team Canada calls Kyle Davidson asking if they can loan Conor Bedard to the World Juniors.
Yeah, I think the double birds, the immediate hang up.
Yeah.
There should be a
phone. Who it
they
is?
should have like a voicemail. If you're calling to inquire about Conor Bedard's availability for World Juniors, press 1, and then you hit it, and it just says no, and it just hangs up on you immediately.
If you're inquiring about Conor Bedard, take your phone, throw it under a steamroller,
turn that some bitch sideways,
bend over, and
somebody was mentioning him still playing the inline hockey thing.
Yeah, he's doing that this summer.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, you could stop that.
Yeah, look, fun is fun, and we all love hockey, and I'm glad he's staying active. But all right, that's enough.
I don't want some no-name Canadian pudwack taking a run at him.
Some moron who can't skate falling.
They're probably
on.
not going to catch him, but
there's so many players that play in summer leagues in some way, shape, or form. There's Zegras plays the roller hockey in the summer. Like I think a lot of these leagues have other pros in them, or other high-end guys, young guys, and other pros. I mean, saw a video of Evander Kane playing in men's leagues and stuff. These guys go out there and play these leagues in the summer just to keep up with skating, keep up with playing in some sort of even 50% of their speed of a game to stay fresh. I don't have any problems with that. I don't have any concerns that someone's going to try and two-hand him in the ankle or anything like that. I think there's...
I just have too many... I guess it's Kirby Doc PTSD. Every time they sent him
PTSD.
Every time they sent Kirby Doc to something extracurricular, he came back hurt.
Yeah.
Right, yeah. Wow.
Zach Osborne's the guy who was watching. He says, I'll be honest, he was playing at like 20% effort, and there were 100% pudwacks playing against him. See, that's my concern.
But even at 20% of Conor Bedard, no pudwack can even come close to touching him.
I suppose so. Hey, you're looking to go back to school? Are you an adult and you're tired of your crappy job? Well, students just like you with full-time jobs, families, and full-time sports fandoms, most importantly, are going back to school to earn a respected degree from my alma mater, Lewis University. Lewis is 35 miles southwest of Chicago in Romeoville and is ranked as one of U.S. News & World Report's top-tier colleges. Lewis partners with numerous employers for tuition discounts and offers evening, online, and blended formats to help you balance work, family, and education. Lewis's faculty brings real-world experience and instruction to the classroom, which is immediately relevant to your career, and they can offer support and academic resources for adult students. If you're looking to complete your bachelor's or master's degree or enroll in a professional certificate program, Lewis has the right one for you. They offer several career-focused programs that will set you up for success. The cybersecurity grad program. Lewis is a Department of Homeland Security Center of Academic Excellence in Cybersecurity, providing students with scholarship funding not available elsewhere. They've also got the great computer science grad program, 8-week sessions can be completed in 1 year with concentrations in software engineering, artificial intelligence, cybersecurity, digital forensics, enterprise, and cloud computing. And they got the adult undergrads as well: computer science, aviation maintenance technology certificates, business analytics, criminal justice, business programs, and technology programs. Discover how a degree from Lewis can help you build a better world. Learn more at lewisu.edu/you-can-do-this. Go fly a plane at Lewis.
Go fly a plane at Lewis. And
That's
when you
right.
land, go over to Goose Island's couple locations here in the city and have yourself a nice cold beer on a successful flight. Hey, CHGO is proudly presented by Goose Island. They are the beer sponsor of us here at CHGO, and they have been Chicago's beer since 1988. And they have an extensive award-winning beer roster, including the Goose IPA, a 6-time medal winner at the Great American Beer Fest, which is always in style with a citrus aroma and bold hop finish. You have the Tropical Beer Hug, the dry-hopped Imperial IPA that is dangerously easy to drink at a 9.9 ABV. One of those on a nice warm summer day will take care of you nice and good. The Full Pocket Pils, it's the everyday beer what the Goose Island beer brewers are drinking. And, of course, the Golden Cans, the 312, the Wheat Ale, the staple of Goose Island's roster, and so many more. And you can grab ultra-fresh, brewery-exclusive beers at Goose Island's original brew house on Clybourne Avenue in Lincoln Park, or you can go to their tap room on Fulton Street here in Westtown. Again, that is the Goose Island Beer Company, Chicago's beer.
All right, let's get back to the mailbag questions. Sarah, what do we got next?
Okay, we got from Scotty, Iowa 23. Scott, Iowa 23. If there was no worries about money, what country would you open a hockey school to teach and support the game? Which non-top tier country is different, if different?
You know, it's a great question, and I think it just came up. Germany always seems like a country that's every few years they'll get a championship team or an Olympic team that's decent.
Yeah.
They're not quite like up to the level of Sweden, Finland, U.S., Canada, Russia.
They've been growing.
They've been growing. I think in Latvia has been pretty impressive over the last few years as well.
Yeah, they just what was it? World Championships this last year beat the U.S. in the bronze medal game. So, yeah, I mean it's interesting. I think if money's not an option, if I were to open up a hockey school, I'd go to Australia. I think for some reason I just feel like winter sports in Australia, there is like a thirst for that. And obviously you'd have to set up a state-of-the-art hockey facility that could deal with the temperatures in Australia. But like, you know, Australia, rugby, soccer, cricket, like those are the big ones out there. But there is a robust, you know, baseball and American football, basketball fan base and market out there. Why not try out hockey?
Why not?
Like I think that would be fun. And Australian people in sports, I feel like they would be tremendous hockey fans. I think they would make the game a lot of fun. So I'd say Australia.
Yeah, those are good choices. I know it's not considered one of like the different countries, but I would make a better effort in like the inner cities of this country, or not necessarily inner cities, but just make hockey more affordable in the United States. Yes, the game has grown big time here, as we've seen, you know, all the young players come through. But in order to play hockey in this country, your parents have to have a buttload of money.
Yeah.
It is not
But it is an
cheap.
expensive sport to play. So I would focus more on maybe getting some of the kids here in the United States that don't have the means to play hockey but want to and could be good players. Focus on those kids and getting them to the opportunity to get ice time, to get the equipment, to learn
Make it
the
accessible.
game.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's you know, it's hockey has grown a ton in the past 10, 20, 30 years in the United States, but it's basically from one demographic. You know, it's coming from your
wealthy,
affluent
white
communities.
Yeah.
And it's very hard for anybody that doesn't live on the North Shore or in a, you know, to have, you know, parents who have good money.
Yeah.
It's not just money; it's also time.
Yeah, you got to do a lot of the traveling.
Time and resources too.
It's not
easy.
easy.
I know the Blackhawks are going to move forward with their expansion of Fifth Third, which I hope will help build up, hockey within the city of Chicago, because there's a lot of great rinks in the city, but it seems like some of the best facilities are always seen kind of in those suburbs. So I'd love to see, and it's obviously the Blackhawks are putting their money into it to expand their Fifth Third Arena efforts and expand that space and the amount of ice that can be available. I think the accessibility to the game is more than putting the NHL players back in the Olympics or World Cup of Hockey or whatever, more than marketing, your star players and everything. Being able to, as a kid, pick up a hockey stick, even just, playing floor hockey or something, and be able to say, oh, I really liked what I did in this summer program or in this gym class. I want to, I love watching it. I want to also play it, and to not have to drop $700 to get a stick, a helmet, hockey skates,
right.
and to get into a school, into a learn to skate program or a learn to play program.
Yeah.
That goes miles further than anything else that the NHL can do just by putting it on TV.
It's part of the reason why hockey, as far as sports popularity in this country, is always fourth or lower, because you can identify as a kid with these sports by playing them.
Mm-hmm.
That's why soccer is so popular among younger people in this country.
Need a ball and grass.
So many kids
even
grow
grass.
up playing soccer.
Just a ball and a trash can.
Everybody played baseball when I was growing up. Basketball's easy. You get one kid with a ball, you go find a park with a hoop, you could play.
Mm-hmm.
Football, you just need a ball and
Just throw it around.
yeah, I mean, it's so. I would invest in the game right here in America to make it more accessible and grow it here, where it's gotten better, but it's still got a ways to go.
By the way, you mentioned the Fifth Third expansion. I got some clarity. The construction that I saw a couple weeks ago is actually the staging ground for the Blue Line rebuild. So that's what's happening right there, right now. So as far as we know,
Bring
that
back the program at the Hawks games.
I mean the L line.
Oh,
Yes.
okay.
The Blue Line rebuild is happening right in the area, which is nice because that means there will be a train stop right there. Hopefully,
Yeah, which would be great.
that would be helpful.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Next.
Next one we got from Armethyst.
Sure.
Armethyst?
Our
Yeah.
Methodist.
Our
Our Methodist.
How close is the gap between David Yurek and Kevin Korchinski? Still can't get over the Seth Jones trade.
We'll get over the Seth Jones trade. The guy who made
So,
it is no longer here. He can't hurt
Context
you
is
anymore.
the first round draft pick that the Blackhawks traded in the Seth Jones deal to Columbus ended up becoming David Yurek, who was picked one selection before Kevin Korchinski. Yurek, being from Europe, was able to go right into the AHL and played very well at the AHL level, which I think if Korchinski was available and eligible to do, he could probably replicate that as well this upcoming season. So as far as the developmental difference, I think it's razor thin, if anything. I don't think we need to compare and contrast these guys
They're
right
very
now.
different players too.
Yeah, and they play different styles. I think Yurek is more of an all-around defenseman. Might not have the offensive upside of Korchinski, but Korchinski doesn't have, Yurek doesn't have as many questions defensively in his own end as Korchinski comes with at this point in their development. So, potato.
Scott Wheeler's rankings, by the way, they came out, last week? A little bit, maybe the week before. Yurek is 9th. Korchinski is 22nd overall among prospects, but there's only 3 defensemen between them. So it's Yurek at 9, Brant Clark at 10, Simon Edmondson at 11, and David Reinbacher at 20. Kevin Korchinski is number 22. So there's three defensemen between those two names. Okay.
What tiers do you think they'd be in?
I think they would all kind of be in your second tier.
Right.
The pyramid success again.
Yeah. I mean, I would say Yurek is higher because he's got that year of
professional
AHL.
experience.
He's closer to being an everyday NHL player, I think. But as far as talent goes, not exactly the same type of player. But I think down the road, both of those guys are going to be top pairing defensemen for a long time for their
I
franchises.
think, too, like his game, which is more defensively focused, probably has fewer questions about it than Korchinski's does because the defensive game's already arrived for Yurek. And now it's a matter of getting to the NHL, adjusting to the speed, those sort of things. There's still a lot of questions as to what Korchinski can handle defensively, which will get answered in the preseason, and he'll probably get a handful of games to start the year anyway. We're going to find out. But I think because Yurek is more of a defensive-minded guy, you're able to sort of see that develop more quickly. And we haven't had a chance to see Korchinski up against men yet,
Right.
like Yurek has had. So we'll see. We're going to find out soon. But I wouldn't sweat it. And let the Seth Jones trade go. You got a really good player in Seth Jones. I think people forget that Seth Jones is really good.
Yeah.
He's overpaid probably by $1 million or so.
So is 95% of
Yeah, it's fine. Don't move on. Enjoy Seth Jones. He's a really, really good player.
A lot of people don't want to admit that, but that's okay.
All right, on to the next one. Brettsy Endgame.
Endgame?
Brettsy
Yeah, sure,
Endgame.
right, sure.
Yeah. What do you think of the additions of Taylor Hall and my favorite player, Nick Foligno?
Foligno. Silent G.
Foligno.
Coming to Chicago.
We talked about
do you
Taylor
think
Hall a
about
little
them
bit
coming
and
to
how much that's going to
Chicago?
help Conor Bedard. They're going to be probably line mates from day one. That's the main reason they went out and got Taylor Hall was to give Bedard somebody to play with. And I think he's going to thrive back in a top line opportunity. He was a little bit buried in Boston because of their depth.
That's another reason why Boston's not making the playoffs, because these two guys are here.
There you go. Exactly. And
Yeah.
I love Foligno. I think Foligno is the perfect kind of guy you bring in to a young team who's going to provide leadership without the intimidation factor.
Yeah.
We're talked about having a fresh start from Kane and Taves and the presence those guys have. Foligno is a presence without being a guy that commands the room.
He's a guy that'll be able to step in and, as a new guy, have a voice, but it's not his locker room. And I think that's the main difference there. He's been a captain for a long time before. He's had a very long career. He's a guy that's been an all-star. He's the perfect kind of player to bring in for this transitional period of the Blackhawks, going from Taves, Kane, and all the cups and all that to this new group that will eventually be coming up to the NHL. So I think he's a good guy to help bridge that gap of time. And yeah, I think Taylor Hall is another guy who's good for that too. He's on he still is got 2 years left, so it'll be this season and next season at least. We'll see what else happens with Taylor Hall, but I think he's a great guy to bring in for Bedard specifically, as well as the rest of the group, because he's a former MVP, former first overall pick. Was a first overall pick in Edmonton, a very very hockey. I don't want to say hostile, but very intense hockey market, and I'd say Chicago as a hockey market is not hostile. I don't think anyone of us are going to accuse Bedard of being pissy ever in his career, but I think Taylor Hall is a great guy to bring in to kind of help him with that transition to the NHL. And then, on the ice, I think the skill sets match up well. It was interesting. I checked out the PHNX Coyotes show yesterday. Our buddy PD, Steve Peters, gave some insight into how coaches think about putting lines together or whatnot. They did the exercise of predict the lines and pairings yesterday. And he said that, one thing that a lot of coaches will do is, instead of thinking about, your forward lines as trios, you're thinking more about pairs of players that can play that you plug in a third guy with. And pairs of players that you'll see on a penalty kill, see on a power play, so that your lines don't get jumbled. So you don't have a guy from line 1, line 2, and line 3 playing on the power play. Because when the power play ends and everyone's back at full strength, you have a mismatched line of players. So I think in that line of thinking, Bedard and Hall will be on the same power play. I think they'll be on the same line, which will whatever line Bedard is your top line. So I think all season, no matter, we talk about, Kurashev's going to play with Bedard, or Reichel could play with Bedard. I think all those conversations also come with Bedard and Hall are going to be together. I think we'll see that all season.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Plus, I'm looking forward to covering Nick Foligno. He's great with the media and going to be a great
He's a nice guy
and a fun guy to have around. So hard to complain about that move.
All right, we got Jeff. If you were starting a franchise, which set of brothers would you take? The Tkachuks or the Hughes?
I love this question.
That's a great question.
It's not as difficult as
I'm taking the Hughes because there's 3 of them and they're all younger.
There's 3 of them, and yes, I agree. It's the Hughes.
There's 4 of them. There's another. I think there's another Hughes coming behind
Sure,
Luke.
throw him in. He could be the
Hughes.
He could be the what was the Stahl brother that never really made it?
There was Eric,
Cletus.
Jordan,
Jared.
Mark,
Jared
Stahl.
Stahl.
Yeah.
Jared, yeah. He could
He's
be,
the Cooper Manning of the group.
Yeah.
So bring on all the Hughes. Give me. I would take the Hughes, because there's 3, maybe
more than
4. It is where Brady and Matthew Tkachuk, both really good players, but they kind of do the same thing.
Yeah.
Whereas
The redundant.
you have Jack Hughes is your star forward,
Number 1 center.
your number 1 center. I don't have to worry about a third of my defensive pairings for a long time with
Yeah.
Quinn and Luke back there.
Quinn's a top pair guy. Luke Hughes
could be a top
probably
pair guy.
is
Yeah.
at least top 4.
So to me,
They just need a Hughes brother to play goalie.
there you go. Let's get Roberto Hughes out there.
Roberto Hughes.
Corey Hughes?
I'm gonna go with the Hughes brothers as well, just because you check multiple boxes across the board, and as much as it would be a ton of fun to have Matthew Tkachuk and Brady Tkachuk playing together on like the same line, that would be a monstrous line to play against.
It'd be frustrating as hell to watch though, because you'd be like, "Stop doing stupid things."
They'd just be the Bash brothers who also can put up 40 goals each. Like it'd be an incredibly entertaining line. But I think if I'm building a team, I take the Hughes brothers.
Agreed.
It's a great question though. I love stuff like that. That's perfect. That's perfect summer Mailbag Monday question.
Love it.
On a Tuesday.
Even
On
though Matthew
Tuesday.
is my favorite player in hockey,
Yep.
still.
All right, we got one more from Dominic. If Reichel,
Reichel.
I always say Reichel. Right, if Reichel is able to put a 50, 60-point season, what kind of term/money would be fair for his next contract?
I think they're gonna bridge him.
Yeah.
I think that's coming.
He's a bridge deal guy waiting.
If he puts up 50 to 60 points, I say 4 by 5.5.
I think that's fair.
Yeah, I think that's a good number.
Is that because that makes him 25 at the end of that deal, still an RFA?
And when people kind of were like, "Why are they burning that first year of his deal?" This is done on purpose.
Yeah,
because
yeah.
now you get to the second contract sooner before he's really had the chance to prove himself.
Yep.
And you get him cheaper and longer than you would be able to. Let's say that he's got 2 years left at the end of this one. Starting on opening day.
If he put up a 50, 60 point season and then the next year put up 60, 70, then you're talking
Another huge
6,
deal.
7, 8 million.
Right.
So
They're going to save a lot of money this way. By burning this year. So.
Yeah,
I think that's about fair.
I think
there's a couple in the a couple comments in the chat before we wrap up. I want to get to. Region Rev has said this a couple times this year. She says the pedestal that we have Bedard on is mighty high. We're just going by the pedestal that he's been put on by the people whose job it is to put prospects on a pedestal. And in terms of
and by our eyeballs.
Yeah, but in terms of can't miss prospects and sure thing prospects over the last decade, aside from Connor McDavid, this is the one.
Yeah.
And it's not just out of whole cloth. It's out of years and years and years of evidence and exceptional status being granted when he was 15 years old. Like, it's not just we like the pick, so we're not doing this with Nazar or Korchinski or anybody else. It's this one kid in particular, and it's with good reason. It's with a huge body of evidence behind it.
There's a reason multiple teams were willing to flush an entire season down the toilet to get him.
Just for the chance to have him.
Yes. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
And look,
hey, if you don't like him on a high pedestal, it's going to be a long 15 years for you.
I mean, I think
He'll earn it. He'll earn
I think
your-
part of that
your-
is I'm trying to get in the mind of the fan is like the whole like jinxing it mentality. Like if we think too highly of a kid or if we talk about him too much, then there's no way he's going to live up. I've seen a lot of people on the beat do this too, like these massive expectations. Oh, there's so much weight on his shoulders. No, he is born to do this. He has been working his entire life to get to this point, and he is ready to go.
yeah.
He is ready to go. Like it's
think about
he's a different prospect than your normal prospect.
Think about how the Bulls and Derrick Rose felt. Think about how people feel with Justin Fields and the Bears. And that's Bedard with the Blackhawks, and maybe more.
But see, okay, I'm
Because-
glad you said Fields, because I feel like Fields is a good example of maybe we as Bears fans have him a little higher than most people, because the hope that he's great is so powerful.
Yeah.
Right? But at the same time, we have all watched him more closely than your typical fan that watches Red Zone or watches SportsCenter or whatever. We have watched every snap the kid has taken, and we have seen the potential he has, right? So we're all banking on that hope. With Conor Bedard, it is universally understood from every prospect analyst in the world that he is the top guy in a tier of his own
Yeah.
in this draft class, and really over the last, since McDavid was picked or Austin Matthews was picked, right? He's on a different level than all these other kids. So I think that's why I don't think we're putting him on a pedestal. I think we're simply talking about him in the expectation that the hockey world has put on him, and I think put on him fairly, based on the evidence that he has created so far.
When I think back to last year's draft class, and we heard similar things about Shane Wright as far as for the last 2 years, we knew he was going to be the number 1 overall pick. He was the top prospect in his class, blah, 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 blah. In his draft year, those people that were, talking about him and everything, the scouts, the analysts, everything like that, questions started seeping in, doubts started seeping in, and people started seeing things like, hey, maybe this isn't the surefire number 1 guy overall that he has been built up to be. None of that with Bedard. For 2.5 years, everyone has been raving, and everyone continues to rave. And so as far as I'm concerned, the people who's, like we said, the people whose job it is to watch these players, break them down, study film, the team scouts, the league scouts, the people with the athletic, all the analysts, guys like Chris Peters, Cam Robinson, Scott Wheeler, all these people, not one of them has said, you know what, I have my doubts about Bedard. Not one of them.
Yeah.
So who are we to say we have doubts about him?
And I get it. I'm the type of person that the second anybody says a TV show or a movie or a band is so great, everybody says it's great, I'm the first person who goes, screw that show, I don't want to watch that. Probably sucks. I get that. I understand that to a degree, but like, this kid is going to be worth the hype.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have many doubts about that.
Well, I mean, just an example, and I'm glad you mentioned Shane Wright, right? Because going into last year's draft, it was kind of assumed that he was going to be number 1 until he wasn't, and he had a big fall off. 2023 World Junior Championships, he had 7 points in 7 games. Nothing to sneeze at.
Shane Wright.
Solid contribution, Shane Wright.
Yeah.
Conor Bedard, in the same 7 games, had 23 points. 23 points. 9 goals and 14 assists in 7 games.
Yep.
Is that good?
It's a different level.
The last person to put up that many points in a World Junior was, Peter Forsberg? When he did it?
I believe that's right, yeah.
In that echelon, like Eric Lindros, when he was, playing for the World Juniors, was putting up points like that. It's just not something that you see every day.
In 1993, for Sweden, in the under-20 World Junior Championships, Peter Forsberg had 31 points in 7 games. 7 goals and 24 assists.
Yeah. So, to be in that, to be in that same breath of those players at that time in their career, and us having the benefit of seeing how their careers played out, it's good company to be in. How often does a player be compared to players of the caliber of McDavid and Crosby and Matthews, and break records that Eric Lindros held, and all the, you think of all the major Canadian junior players that have come through, and all the guys that played for the World Juniors, played in the CHL, and all these records that Bedard broke over his single season, over his career, all that stuff. How many players, A, fall into that category of being able to do that, and then B, get to the NHL and bust out?
Yeah.
It's probably fewer times than Patrick Kane has been hit hard in his career.
Yeah.
So I just think like there's been no reason to doubt his skills, his capabilities, his readiness, his maturity level. Seeing him through development camp, talking with him, like you said, Jay, like the only thing he wants to do is play hockey. He came to an off-ice development camp for a week and said, "Hey, can I get on the ice?
Yeah,
like
please."
I just want to play."
Right.
That's all his young mind is focused on, which is incredible for young minds of today to be centrally focused on something that is like just that. So I just there at every corner, there has never been a seed of doubt that this kid is going to be what everyone believes he's going to be.
You could argue that the Bedard performance this past year was more impressive than the Forsberg because the overall competition,
quality of competition,
is better.
And let's remember what goalies looked like in 1993.
Well,
Right,
and
yeah.
plus, as multiple people have mentioned in our chat, Peter Forsberg had 10 of those points in a 20-1 victory over Japan that year. There's no Japan in the World Juniors anymore.
No,
Nobody's.
but
he still had 21 points in 6 games.
Japan's team now could
would
kill Japan's team in
beat
'93.
That Japan team
Yeah.
21 too.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, so the overall quality of competition
Yeah.
in the World Juniors is much better because back when Peter Forsberg was there, it was like Russia or Soviet Union at the time, Canada, Sweden, even the U.S. was
Yeah.
cannon
fine.
fodder for those
Yeah.
teams.
Pish posh. Yeah.
Yeah, they were. If everything went right, maybe they played for the bronze medal. So you basically had 3 powerhouses, and Sweden was one of them. Now, you're facing teams that could beat you on any night.
I think the other thing to keep in mind with Bedard, too, is, in this day and age, there was one dude waiting to be the hot take guy to crap on Bedard and say, I don't think this kid's as great as everybody says. I think he's the second or third best prospect in this draft. Nobody said it.
I can't wait till he doesn't score a goal on opening night, and our chat's
he's
full
gonna.
of guys that are gonna be like, "Yeah, he's a bum. Should have taken Fantilli."
The only thing that people have held against Bedard is the fact that he's not 6'2".
Right.
Like he's 5'10", 195 pounds, built like a man as a teenager. Like he's the thought that he's gonna have struggles because of his size. Just look at the kid work out. He's gonna be totally fine.
You know who's going to have struggles because of their size? Me at Cog Hill for our CHGO Kickoff Classic Golf Tournament. At Cog Hill number
it's gonna be
2,
a
the
swass day.
Ravines. Come join us at the inaugural CHGO Kickoff Classic presented by CHGO, Big Drive Energy, and Pins and Aces. That is August 25th at 9 a.m. Again, Cog Hill, course number 2, the Ravines. You can sign up as an individual, twosome, or foursome. Register at allchgo.com. If you're a diehard, we've got a promo code for you. Email events@allcitynetwork.com to get your discount code for the tournament. All this info, of course, is on allchgo.com. Just navigate over to our events tab and click the Kickoff Classic right at the top there. Your entry includes 18 holes with a cart, again, at Cog freaking Hill. An exclusive Pins and Aces tee gift for every player. Access to limited edition Pins and Aces CHGO Polo. Hole contest, great giveaways and prizes for contest holes, winning teams, and last place. Lunch, drinks, and a ceremony after the round. Jump in. Come join us at the CHGO Kickoff Classic. Tickets are going fast as the event gets closer and closer, so make sure you don't wait. Allchgo.com.
Yes.
Join us out at Cog Hill on Friday, August 25th for that 9 a.m. shotgun start. Can't wait.
Hoping for a beautiful sunny day to play some mid-level golf.
At best.
Sweet. I can't wait to officiate the longest putt competition.
Nice.
Because that's what my skill set breaks. Well, if it is a sunny day at Cog Hill, you got to be rocking the Shady Rays on the golf course because they will have the gear built to last, ready to take on the sun, 18 holes worth. Our friends at Shady Rays have you covered for the warm weather with premium polarized shades at a very affordable price. Shady Rays is an independent sunglasses company that offers a world-class product that's just as good as any expensive pair we've ever worn. They're too humble at Shady Rays. They're better than any expensive pair I've ever worn. Their durable frames and extremely clear optics are perfect for any and all outdoor adventures. And that's not all. Shady Rays has the most insane protection of all eyewear. Every pair of sunglasses is backed by lost and broken replacements. If you lose or break your pair even on day one, they told us they're going to send you a brand new pair. No questions asked. Maybe Jay shanks one off the ladies' tees and it hits you right between the eyes and breaks your Shady Rays.
Ooh, yep. Jeez.
Well, Shady Rays will exchange for a brand new pair so you could play with confidence. Together with their customers, Shady Rays is providing much-needed support to nonprofit partners across the United States. Through Shady Rays Impacts, they're doing everything from building play sets for pediatric cancer patients to providing young adults with MS the outdoor adventure of a lifetime. Shady Rays is making an impact in your community and others like it now and for years to come. And if you don't love your Shady Rays, but you're not a weirdo, so you're going to exchange them for a new pair or return them for free within 30 days. There's no risk when you shop. Shady Rays has your back. And exclusively for our wonderful listeners, the most beautiful listeners in all of podcast world.
That's true.
The CHGO Blackhawks crowd, the best looking
Confirmed.
hockey fans ever. Shady Rays is giving out their best deal of the season. You go to shadyrays.com, use the promo code CHGO at checkout. You're going to get 50% off 2 or more pairs of their great polarized sunglasses rated 5 stars by over 250,000 people, including me.
A lot of people, a lot
Me
of
too.
stars. How many clips do you think we got out of that last segment on the next Every Shift episode?
Oh, boy.
At least
Credited
3.
or uncredited?
That's a good question. I think we got at least 3, one from each of us.
I agree.
That'd be fun.
Yeah, that should be fun. Look forward to that. Hey, tomorrow, make a note, we're on at 1 o'clock tomorrow.
Yes.
We're on an hour earlier.
1 p.m.
So Sarah can get to the baseball game.
Oh, jeez.
Whatever.
Part of that, I think, is my fault. Actually, we pushed everybody back.
Yeah.
It
Jake
is,
and I
but
talked
it's-
about
It is, but it's
Totally
because of
fine.
our Crosstown
Takeover.
Classic
Yes.
takeover event at guaranteed rate.
Is that, yeah.
So
Yeah, it's tomorrow.
Tomorrow?
that is
Yeah.
tomorrow. The Sox game got sold out. Tickets, limited tickets, are still available for the Cubs game.
Jump
Yeah,
in.
Sox is
August
sold out,
16th, I
though.
believe.
August 16th.
It's on track to sell out.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, Sox is already sold out.
Sox is-
Cubs is it's
running
still
short.
going. Yeah, it's
running short on tickets. So
Yeah.
get them now.
We are
And-
so good at what we do here at CHGO. We make like going to Chicago baseball games appealing.
Oh yeah,
The teams don't do that, but we do.
There you go.
it's our job.
All right. Well, Sarah, have fun out there tomorrow.
Thank you. Thank
I'll
you.
be watching from the comfort of my couch, but I'll probably be out there at Wrigley. We'll see. All right. Jump on allchgo.com to buy tickets for the Kickoff Classic Golf Outing, also for the Cubs version of our Crosstown Takeovers, and join us tomorrow at 1 o'clock on the CHGO Blackhawks Podcast.